Hi, I'm Christy Davis, one of the executive coaches at Action Coach DFW. And I have the pleasure of Bobby Bradley, CEO of Texas Entertainment Group, joining us today. And we're thrilled to have him here on our Business Spotlight. For our audience, Bobby, please just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your business and how you started.
So my name is Bobby Bradley, and I'm founder and current CEO and president of Texas Entertainment Group and Texas Tent. And Texas Entertainment Group and Texas Tent are businesses in the special event industry that provide a variety of unique products and services to clients who are planning or executing large events. With Texas Tent, we're a core party rental business, and with that business, we rent tents and tables and chairs, and really anything that goes under a tent for events like weddings and festivals, and a lot of type of events like that. With Texas Entertainment Group, we are an attraction-based entertainment company where we provide games and attractions that people play on, play in, or play with, and that could be anything from a zip line or a carnival ride to a mechanical unicorn. We've got photo booths and video booths. We rent arcade games and barroom equipment. We do live game shows and team building. So it's just a vast variety of products that allow us to serve our customers the best.
Fantastic. Sounds like, for starters, sounds like a fun business to be in. Not that it doesn't have its own headaches and challenges.
We have the opportunity on average annually to do about 1,200 events a year. And when we take a step back and really look at the reach that we have and the impact that we have on community, we really touch about 5 million people a year, which is a huge opportunity, but it's a huge responsibility as well.
Yeah. You're making special moments for people's lives, whether it be personal or business, and you're getting to bring people together, creating community, collaboration, and a little fun along the way, it sounds like.
A lot of joy.
I like that. A lot of joy. That's even better than fun, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Bobby, tell me a little bit about the structure. You said you are founder, CEO, president. What's the structure of your business?
So we have two single member LLCs that are owned by a parent company. And then we also have a secondary entity that is a management company. And so we've kind of created this strategy for asset protection because we're in somewhat of a high liability industry where from time to time someone could get injured riding a mechanical bull. And so, but from an operational standpoint, I sit in the visionary role. And we have a leadership team with an integrator and um, leadership team on the admin side, finance side, operations side, maintenance repair side. And so the leaders, all the leaders and decisions flow up to me. But truly, they run a majority of the day-to-day business, and I try my best just to stay out of the way.
I like that you called yourself the visionary because that allows you the opportunity to spend the time working on the business versus in the business. How much time would you say your role does spend on the business versus in the business?
I think as you experience different business cycles, that has a tendency to change because truly the role of a business owner or the entrepreneur is to be there and do things for the business when things aren't being done. And sometimes that takes you out of that visionary seat a little bit. But I'm own portions of other businesses and different verticals as well. And so I spend my time. We're part of I have an Irish whiskey brand involved with a nutritional supplement company. I have a golf app. Um, I have a startup in the fitness wearable space. And so, whenever like take a step back, and actually I'm going through this process right now of actually tracking my time so that I understand the time value or the dollar value of the time that I'm allocating to different spots or tasks or responsibilities in the business. I find that I'm not spending a lot of time in day to day, except on a strategic level.
You, for our audience, this is a great exercise for anyone to go through, whether you're just starting your business out or you're on to the next business, you're integrating a second business, you've had your business for 10 or 15 years, is going through that exercise of understanding where your time is being spent and how that will anticipate, that dollar value, just like you said. Are you there and doing more of the $250 hour work, the $25 hour work, or the $2,500 hour work, and what's best for the company and yourself at any given time or any given opportunity of being able to delegate something and learning and growing someone in your team.
Yeah, I think it's a great tool to understand of, whenever you're starting to look at 1 year, 3 year, 5 year hiring plans, to really take that analysis and allow that to drive part of your decision making on that future planning.
Yeah, 100%. That strategy, and we always have to be thinking, having that focus point on 1, 3, 5 years down the road, as opposed to just today or the next quarter, so to speak.
And sometimes in small business ownership, it's hard to look past tomorrow,
Yeah.
depending which cycle you are in your business.
Absolutely. And I think that's part of that growth opportunity that we all have in our business journey. Speaking of that, what do you wish maybe more people knew about your company and your businesses?
We're in a very unique position with Texas Entertainment Group. We're in a very unique position in our marketplace, and we're, from a revenue standpoint, probably the largest in, if not only in Texas, but in a regional area. And one of the things that's kind of unique about our business is we became a market changer several years ago. When people, whenever they first think about our business and kind of some of the products and inventory we have, when you say the word like inflatable games or things like that, people have a tendency, their first thought is, oh, we rented one of those for my kids' birthday parties. And so years ago, I made a decision that I didn't want to be in that marketplace. I wanted to be more of a service-oriented business. And so within the North Texas area, I just made a decision that we were going to buy and provide attractions to our customers and provide additional service staff to stay and operate and execute, as opposed to being a business that, like a true party rental business, that came and dropped items off and just left them. So we kind of changed the market for that, and our customers and the market has grown to appreciate and rely on that a lot. And so that's kind of one of our unique differentiators, in that we have just some incredible people with a tremendous amount of longevity and tenure. And they're fantastic people that really care not only about the organization, but they care about our customers and the guests, the event, and they really strive just to overachieve and exceed expectations in all that they do.
What amazing things that you've just said about your team, and I will say that typically comes from the top down. You're creating that culture, you're creating that environment for your team members to grow and prosper within your company. Speaking of that, what type of training and how are you developing the next leaders in your company?
I think sometimes one of the largest challenges in small business specifically is that you typically don't have time or resources to implement a true structured training program. So we've seen over the years, and of course we've progressed over time. Early on, it was, we didn't have the systems and processes in place, number one, to even identify if someone was a right person for the right seat on the bus. And so over the years, we've, created and implemented an onboarding process. We have a very defined hiring process that we follow that uses analytics to identify right seat on the bus. And then over the time, we've had to allocate resources, which is time and money and people, and to making sure that we took the steps necessary to train and develop people. And within our business, we have over 700 SKUs. And so training takes a long, long time. It's not something that someone can come in and learn in a week. And even with a role like our inside salespeople, it sometimes takes 6 months to kind of figure it out. And so having a defined system in place, being dedicated to that system and executing it, but then also having patience with people along the way. Because as we know, as leaders and busy people, that a lot of times we fail in an area where we expect ourselves from others and not giving someone the grace to understand that, hey, they don't have the experience that we have. But I think just, creating that system, following the system, honoring the system, and making sure that it's implemented has kind of created success. And one of the things that we've seen over the years also that once we started implementing that system, our accuracy or our incidence or percentage of success in hiring has increased. Because I think people, they want to be trained and they want to know what they're supposed to do. Where, in the beginning of business, we kind of put people out and hoped that some of our people in the field would train, and they probably weren't qualified for it, so it never happened. So as the business has grown and we've learned more, we've developed those systems in that training program, and it really, really has benefited us significantly.
And Bobby, you said some things about, it didn't look like that in the beginning. So for our audience, those that are just starting their businesses, it's not going to be perfect to start with. You're going to grow through a journey and you're going to have some trial and error. That's why testing and measuring is so incredibly important to a business, with your systems, with your advertising, with your marketing, with your training and hiring processes. It all needs to be tested and measured. I just wanted to point that out because, sometimes our audience is, I don't ever want anybody to, well, I should look like this, it should be this. Well, yeah, but it may take you 5 years to get there. It may take you 6 months to get there, but you have to start somewhere.
And it may take 10 years.
This is true. This is true. So we've talked a little bit about your business. We've talked a little bit about your team and training. But in your journey so far, what's been the biggest challenge you've had to overcome?
The biggest,
Or memorable? Sometimes memorable and the biggest aren't the same.
well, in the years that I've been in this industry, there have been some big ones, some really, really large ones. But I think it all comes back to, because I think when you start looking at, I mean, we look at today and business challenges, it can be balance, it could be people, it could be numbers. If I were to step back, I'm blessed to have the opportunity to mentor people that are starting businesses. It's one of my passions. And one of the things we talk about quite a bit, one of the mistakes I made early on in the business, probably the largest mistake, and then continued to make, is not having a full grasp of my numbers. Now, I'm a numbers guy. Like, I'm a numbers guy. I know numbers. It's one of my superpowers. But I think also just maybe understanding the numbers in a person's business and how different facets of the numbers truly impact their business. I think that's probably one of the largest recurring problems that maybe I experienced or created for myself. And then probably number two would be, before we had a really defined hiring program and tools that really helped with that. that hiring process has to be right up there with it. You know, in our business, we got early on, we were very seasonal. You know, when it was warm outside, people played events. And, you know, you relate to the table a lot of time ramping up and hiring and implementing your program and training. And so sometimes you were stuck. People walked in off the street, and we joke in our industry. It's like, hey, do you breathe? Can you breathe? Can you walk? Can you stand up for 2 hours? Hey, let's give you a shirt and go get in a truck. We don't do things like that anymore. But I think over the years that also created a tremendous amount of hardship for us, just not hiring the right people.
Yeah. I love what you said. One of my favorite books is John Gordon, The Energy Bus. And you kept saying about putting the right people on the bus, the seats on the bus. And I think that's huge for us all because, you know, we talk about in the beginning of it, let's just fill the bus. We got to go. I have this idea of this business and I've got a few things started. Let's just put people on the bus. And then we realize that sometimes those wrong people on the bus create more harm, create more detriment, cause other hardships. And it is truly about finding, do they fit on our bus? Is it the right person on the bus? And do they really want to be on the bus with us?
Yes, we ask the question internally. Well, so we use analytics, and I wish years ago we had access to tools, and it, we use Culture Index. There are things like Acumax, Disc,
Yeah.
Predictive Index. There's all these tools that are available to us at very reasonable pricing that really, really can help you narrow that down and get the nature right, the nature of the individual right in the beginning. So then once you identify that, it becomes a lot easier. Then it's your interviews are more centered around core values and making sure that there's an alignment there with core values. And if you can get those matches right, it's just so much easier and you have so much more success in the business. And you know, A players love playing with A players, right? If you put an A player next to a C player, that C player may drive the A player out the door. And you just don't want that because A players are hard to find and to develop.
Absolutely. And that premise of that A player can bring that C player up to an A, that doesn't always happen. It
No,
happens
it doesn't.
very small
We've seen
percentages.
we've seen A players bring B players up.
Yeah.
Rarely, if you're rating someone a C or D, it's because at that level, it's a choice that the individual has to make. And typically you find when you take a step back and look at it holistically, the individual isn't making the choices what to do, what they need to do to become a different person.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you said something earlier about numbers. You know, in my business coaching, when I'm coaching businesses, that is, it can be the individual, the solo entrepreneur, or it can be, you know, a 50, 60, 150 employee based company. And they don't have a grasp of their numbers. They don't understand how their profit and loss contributes to their margins or in, you know, they just don't see it. And they're smart people, they have degrees or they've been running businesses. It's not that they're not smart, it's just they don't understand the nuances of those numbers and how they play in an integral role in everything else and how that should be strategically placed and how it plays into the 90-day plan, the 1 year plan, the 3 year plan. And I see that over and over again. It is something that we definitely focus on is that financial mastery, not being the CPA, but financial mastery for yourself and your business.
I think too many times, and I've seen it and I witnessed it from myself, that early on I was so focused really just on top line.
Yeah.
That, you know, for a long time we took jobs that we should have never taken. And if you were to actually sit back and job costs and say, oh, you know, I have $8,000 in revenue, but only made $350. You know, you look at that and you're like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Absolutely. Well, Bobby, our audience is going to gain so many different facets of ideas that should spark, that should resonate with them, that should allow them to see some growth opportunities. So I encourage you, if you're listening, save this one for sure and go back and watch it again, because you're going to get something even more, just an aha or a bright spot from Bobby today. And Bobby, as we kind of wrap up, I've got a couple of little rapid fire questions for you, and then I'll give it over to you and make sure everybody knows how to reach your company for more information. So, Bobby, what's one piece of advice that you would give to a business owner as if you were giving yourself a mulligan? You wish somebody would have told you this.
We mentioned it before, but know your numbers.
Yeah. Key. And then secondly, what's one book you're reading right now that is inspiring you?
Can I answer this with 3 answers?
Sure.
Favorite book of all time was Jim Collins' Good to Great.
Ah,
It was life-changing for my career. The book that I just finished is called Second in Command. And so for anyone that's looking for that integrator role, or someone truly to run their business, or to give them the opportunity to create more balance in their life, it's a very easy read. And the book that I'm reading right now is 10x is easier than 2x.
Yep. Great. So I find that, I love the fact that you said Good to Great. It's one of my all-time favorites. And I do try to read it every other year, just because you're gonna, again, I'm in a different seat, I'm in a different place, and it speaks something differently to me each and every time I read it. So I implore everybody, if you've not read that, and then the one I'm going to go get is Second in Command. I have not read that one, so thank you so much for sharing that tidbit. Last little question here on the rapid fire is, if you could choose only one area in your business to improve immediately, what would it be?
People.
Expand just a little bit about that. What do you mean by people?
We are experiencing some extremely rapid growth, and we're outgrowing capacity of some of our team. And so we've identified, we're hiring right now for our 3-year plan. We're putting it in place knowing that it may take a while, but we're top grading the organization, from starting with leadership team and all the way down to the bottom. And without great people, you're not going to have a great business. Without great people, you're going to have no balance in your life as an owner or operator. And so you have to have incredible people to have an incredible business.
I love that. And I'm going to leave that as our last nugget for all, because that one was a really good one. Bobby, how can people find you? Website, social media? What's the best way to connect with you?
If anyone wants to connect with me personally, my social media is wide open on X, Instagram, Facebook. Our business domains are texasentertainmentgroup.com, texastent.com. And if anyone wants to shoot me a personal email, it's just Bobby at either of those domains. And if anyone, I have such a passion to serve people. And if anyone has a question about anything that I've said, or if there's a way that I could help or support, I would just be honored to have the opportunity to do so.
Fantastic. Bobby, thank you so much for joining us on our Business Spotlight today. Again, I think you have been an incredible resource to our audience, and I look forward to staying connected with you.
Thank you.
All right, Bobby, thanks so much.